Hello everyone, and once again welcome to my channel Engineering Made Simple. Now in the last lecture we started for a new course by the name Signals and Systems, and in the last class I gave you a brief introduction of Signals and Systems subject. Now this is the part 2 of the introductory part only. So the topic for today is Introduction to Signals and Systems part 2. Part 1, those who have missed can watch the link. The link I will give in the description box. So let us start again with the introductory part. So in the last class we studied how do we classify different types of signals and systems. Now we move again further. And the next topic, the next type of signals are deterministic signals. Now this is also a type of signals. These are also these are also type of signals. Okay. So what do you mean by a deterministic signal? A deterministic signal is a signal. Deterministic signal is a signal whose value is known for any given instant of time. Now what does this statement mean? Deterministic signal is a signal whose value is known for any given instant of time. So for any given instant of independent variable time t, its value is known. That means you can determine the value of the signal at that particular time instance. And one of the important characteristics of deterministic signals is that it can be modeled mathematically. It can be modeled mathematically. Now what is the meaning of modeling mathematically? Modeling mathematically simply means that you can express the signal in the form of a function of the independent variable. So x of t, if I write here some equation, let's say 0.7t. So this is a signal and it is a deterministic signal because you can find its value for any instant of time t. Let's say t is equal to 0, 1, 2 and so on, and you can express it in the form of a mathematical function. So if you are able to express the signal in the form of a mathematical function, then it is known as a deterministic signal, and you can determine its value at any instant of time. So such type of signals which can be represented mathematically and whose value can be known at each and every instant of time are known as deterministic signals. Now we move on to the next classification. The next classification is random signals. Random signals. So what are random signals? Understand the definition of it first. So random signals take random values for any instant of time. And we need to study its characteristics. Its characteristics meaning signal characteristics of the random signal. by using statistical measures. So understand this thing, from name only it is pretty much clear that it is a random signal. So random signal can take any random value. We can't determine whether what value at which particular time instant the signal will take, or for what instant of time the signal will be defined. So the name, from the name only it is pretty much clear that it is a random signal. And the last statement, so if you want to study random signals or analyze them, we need to analyze their characteristics by statistical measures. Now what are statistical measures? Statistical measures, you might have studied statistics in your 11th and 12th standard also. So what are statistical measures mean? Or in terms of a signal we will denote it by normally average. Mean, average, then PDF is there, CDF is there. So these are all statistical measures of analyzing the signal statistically. Why we are doing this random signal analysis by statistical measures, that is average, PDFs and CDF. And so when we studied this particular topic is a module. This is the last unit of your syllabus. So when we study this module, you will understand there is something known as random variables and random processes. That is RVs and random processes. RV stands for random variables. So at that time you will understand why we use these statistical measures in order to study random signal analysis or process these random signals, because there is no definite mathematical equation for your random signals. Now what are the examples of random signals? So random signals, one prominent example is noise signal. So the noise in electrical circuits or any circuit is a random signal. Another example of a random signal is pitch signal. So such signals are we need to study such signals by plotting. For example, if you want to study the various types of noise signals in communication system, then we need to study its PDFs. So when we do this module, it would be pretty much clear to you. For time being, just remember this as a classification purpose, for introductory purpose. So this is not what this type of signals are known as random signals. Now we move on to the next type of signals, digital signals. Or digital signals. Digital signals. Now when you hear this word digital, you remember that you studied some subject known as digital system design in your second year most probably. In that you studied analysis and design of various digital circuits, combination and sequential circuits and so on. And what is a digital signal and what are the number systems used in digital. But when you say digital, it is a signal consisting of only two values, that is 0 and 1. This is logic 0, this is 1, this is 0 again, this is 1. So such type of signal if we have, we say it is a digital signal. So how do we obtain this digital signal? Now when we were defining discrete time signal, we said that whenever we want discrete time signal, so this is a continuous time signal. Let's say this is some signal. It is a continuous time signal because I am denoting it by x of t. So that's the reason it is a continuous time signal. Now I want to obtain this signal in the digital form. Currently this is in continuous time, that is time domain, continuous time signal, but I want a digital signal out of it. So what I need to do? I will do sampling over here. So this sampling theorem and all we will study in detail. We will do sampling to this continuous time signal, and when we do sampling, we obtain a discrete time signal. So let's say this will be our discrete time signal. Okay. So let's say this is x of n because it is a discrete time signal. This is denoted by n. So independent variable is n, x of n. So after sampling continuous time signal, we get a discrete time signal over here. And now we want a digital signal. So what we will do? We have this discrete time signal with us. We will again pass it through a block which is known as quantizing and coding.
We change the pen.
Quantizing and coding. So quantizing and coding, let's say this is the block that we have. So when we pass this discrete time signal through this quantizing and coding block, we get a signal which is a digital signal. So this is let's say, so this is our digital signal. This is logic 1 and this would be logic 0. So whenever we pass this discrete time signal through quantization and coding circuit, we get this type of signal which is known as digital signal. So now I have shown you the process of how to obtain continuous time signal, how to obtain a digital signal from continuous time signal. So how will you define digital signal now? A digital signal is simply, can be defined simply as quantized and coded version of discrete time signal, DT signal. So from this process only, it was pretty much clear that when we pass the discrete time signal through the quantization and coding block, you get a digital signal. Now what is this quantization and coding? We will study when we will study sampling theorem in detail. Now we will move on. Now we studied the different types of signals and its classification. Now we will move on to the other part of our subject, that is this, systems. Now we will understand what do you mean by system. So let us start by defining a system. Now what is a system? Any process that exhibits cause and effect relation. So this is a simple generic definition of a system. Any process that exhibits cause and effect relation. Now if I want to draw an analogy in our day-to-day life, but it is a non-technical, non-electrical analogy I am drawing. So if somebody asks you a technical one, you should not give this. But suppose think if I want to prepare Maggi, I switched on my burner and kept all the apparatus, adding all the ingredients and started heating it. So heating is a process, right? So that process, because I am heating that particular cooking apparatus, I am getting some food stuff at the end. So that is also a system, because I am cooking is a process and at the end I am getting the food stuff. So that is also a system. So your cooking gas in your house is an example of a cooking system, because that would give you food stuff at the output. So similarly, as we are electrical engineers, we will study some of the systems that we encounter in our electrical and electronics engineering. So simplest definition is any process that exhibits cause and effect relation. So because of this input signal x of t, I got some output signal y of t. So this is the cause and effect. And why I got this y of t? Because there was some system present over here. System, it is normally denoted by H. This is a system, and this is a continuous time system, because a continuous time signal is applied at the input. So because of the applied input signal x of t, it generates output y of t. So this is what is known as a system. So the output signals that we obtain from the system, output signal that we obtain from the system, in this case this is y of t, is nothing but the processed version of input signal. Processed version of input signal. Now what does this statement mean? I am saying that this output signal is nothing but some processed version of this input signal x of t. Now what does this mean? Now let us take a simple mathematical function. Now I have f of x is equal to x square plus x plus 2. Now as I am appearing for my maths paper, somebody has asked me to calculate its derivative, that is d by dx. So when I am taking d by dx, so this is the operator I am applying, d by dx of x square plus x plus 2, right? So this is my input signal, let us consider. Now I am taking the derivative, so what is d by dx of x square? 2x plus 1, and this is 0. So this is my output signal, but I have done the process of differentiation over here. So that is what this statement means over here, that the output signal that we get. So let us say this is output, because this is y is equal to f of x, and I have applied differentiation operator over here. So this differentiation operator, we can consider it as a system, because that is used to give us our output. So output y is nothing but processed version of the input signal. So this is what this statement means over here. So your output y of t is nothing but a processed version of input signal. Now the next statement, a system. Now what is a system physically in our practical purposes? A system can be formed by interconnection of various hardware devices or software algorithms. So what does this mean? A system can be formed by, a system can consist of various interconnection of various hardware components. Now what do you mean by interconnection of various hardware components? Now as we are studying signal processing, there are different signal processors available in IC form, that is on system on chip form, IC form, that is a hardware. So you can connect it to your device and manipulate the electrical or electronic signals that we have. So a system can be a combination of interconnection of these hardware components, or you can write a simple algorithm or script in MATLAB software to manipulate various signals. So MATLAB, there are many signal processing software available. I am giving you the example of MATLAB. So if you write a piece of code that is used to manipulate certain signal, then you can say that a system can be formed by interconnection of different can be formed by writing different software algorithms also, because you are writing a script in a software. So this is what is the meaning of the system. Now let us see how to represent the system. So representation I have already given over here. So let's see. Let's see the representation of the system. How do we represent the system? Representation of a system. Okay. So this is a block which is denoted by system operator S. This is your system. So this is your input signal or input excitation, and this will produce some output signal or output response Okay. output response. Okay, so now, so this is way block diagram representation of the system. Now this is input signal, or we can call input signal as input excitation also in technical terms. So H is a system operator. H is known as the system operator, and this block is nothing but the system block, and due to the input signal which is applied, we get an output signal. That is, output signal is also known as output response. So this is the way in which you should represent a system. Okay, so now how will you express it in terms of the system? So output signal or output response is nothing but H times, that is system operator, multiplied by the input signal or excitation. So this is what I explained some time back, that the output signal is nothing but the processed version of input signal whenever we are talking in terms of system, and H is the system operator. So output signal is H times input signal and input excitation. Now let us move on to study the classification of systems. So how we will classify different types of systems. So there are broadly many different types of systems and its classification. But for introductory purposes, we will study its two main classifications only for this lecture for time being. So classification of systems. Classification of systems. So broadly, systems are classified into two main types. First is classification based on the source used. Source meaning type of input signal. Source used, type of energy used. Type of energy used to drive the system. And the second classification is depending upon the nature, upon the nature of input and output signals. Now let us study the first classification, that is classification of system based on the type of source used, that is source meaning type of energy source used to drive the system. So in that case there are different types of systems. First one, if a system is driven by electrical energy, we say that it is an electrical system. If the system is driven by thermal energy, then we say that the system is a thermal energy. If it is a hydraulic system, that means it is driven by some hydraulic principle, we say that it is a hydraulic system. And if it is some sort of mechanical energy is used in driving the system, then we say that the given system is a mechanical system. Now, the second type of systems, now depending upon the nature of the input and output signals to be processed. Now, there are two types in this: continuous time system, CT system. So what is a continuous time system? This is a continuous time system. Now, this is a continuous time system because it takes continuous time signal as an input and processes continuous time signal as the output. So that's the reason it is a continuous time system. In simpler terms, we can say any system that processes continuous time signals is a continuous time system. Now the second classification in this only, discrete time system. So now see, this is the block diagram representation of the system. This is DT, meaning this is a discrete time system, and discrete time system because it processes the discrete time, because it processes discrete time signals x of n to produce output y of n. So these are the two important classifications. Other classifications are also present, but when we will study analysis of discrete time signals and systems, we will go deeper into this. But for introductory part, remember this, that these two are the broadly the main important classifications. And most importantly, remember the second part, that is continuous time system and discrete time system, because our entire course is focused on these two only: analysis and design of continuous time system and discrete time system, and signal processing of both continuous time and discrete time signals and systems. So now these were some classification of systems. Now let us move on to study some of the different types of application, or list down some of the applications of signal processing. So applications of signal processing. So as electrical and electronics and telecommunications engineers, we are studying this, but there might be some reason we are studying this, because this signal processing and signals and systems is used widely in wide variety of applications. So where they are used, we will see. So your digital computers, your various different types of ICs are used to manipulate different types of signals. To produce certain desired output. So we have in digital computers, we know it processes digital data, and various digital signals are exchanged in between its computer and its peripherals, and various different types of ICs, meaning there are some digital signal processing ICs, that is DSPs also. So that is also used when we are developing some application on basis of this signal processing domain. And the function of these ICs is to manipulate different types of signals and give the desired output which we intend to compute. And secondly, there are also different types of circuits available, and analog circuits are used to mainly manipulate your continuous time signals. Your digital thing will do your digital part, and your analog circuits will do your continuous time signals. So when you studied BJT amplifiers in your electronic devices and circuits course, it was doing manipulation of a continuous time sinusoidal signal, and it was amplifying it. So analog circuits perform the task of the processing of continuous time signals. So it is used extensively in this application. Now in second important field, it is used. Second important field is of various communication, consumer electronics. Consumer electronics, your HD TV, or in simple terms, television, cell phones. So your television also processes different types of signals, your cell phone also processes various types of signals, and even though your cameras are also processing different types of signals when they function. So in signal processing is used extensively in this domain of consumer electronics, that is HDTV, cell phones and cameras. So now in the transportation industry also, signal processing finds its application, and transportation system. In transportation systems, signal processing is extensively used when we in our train systems, in your space missions, aircraft controlling, aircraft tracking and controlling. Now, aircraft controlling is pretty much simpler. Now, everybody knows that the air traffic controller, aircraft are guided by the help of air traffic controller and radar system, which is fitted in your aeroplanes. So, at that time also, this signal processing plays a major important role in that field. And in tracking and GPS systems also, we extensively make use of signal processing. Extensively we will make use of signal processing. Now the third important application is in the field of medical industry. So we process different types of biomedical signals. When doctor takes ECG of the patient, he observes if the ECG is normal or abnormal. So by looking at the ECG, doctor can find out. So electrocardiogram is nothing but an 8-channel signal. So by looking at this particular signal, he can analyze whether a person has some heart disease or his heart is functioning properly. Similarly, if you want to observe the nature of brain signals, as you know, our brain sends electrical signals. You need to observe the EEG. So if you want to observe whether our human brain is functioning properly or not, you need to process biomedical signals, and for that you need to obtain EEG if you are studying the signals, electrical signals sent by human brain. Electrical signals sent by human brain. Sent by human brain. So this was our application of signal processing in your medical field. Fourth one, in military. So in military it is pretty much simpler, that signal processing is used in wide variety of applications such as target tracking. So if you are tracking a particular target for your military applications, you make use of signal processing extensively, and it is signals are also processed when we are designing and developing surveillance systems for military applications. And last but not the least, signal processing finds its application in remote sensing also. So remote sensing. So what do you mean by remote sensing? Remote sensing applications are those applications such as astronomy, your weather forecasting, okay, climate monitoring applications. Climate monitoring applications. So with this application, I now end the introduction to the signals and systems. I hope you understood why do we study this subject of signals and systems in our course. Now from the next lecture onwards, we will start digging deeper into signals and systems. So thank you. That's all for the day.